I am recording this so that those that were not able to join us today, I'm able to share it with them. But thank you so much. I don't want to keep you for a long time. Just wanted to kind of talk about Unified Track and Field and kind of how it's going to work. At least that's the plan for how it's going to work. And then you guys have your chance to be able to ask any questions. It's very informal, so please just jump in, take yourself off mute, throw something in the chat, and we'll answer as we go. Jillian is being the maestro and controlling the PowerPoint, and I'm the one talking today. So as we all know, for Unified Sports, it is not just about participation. It is really about a competition. And so we've been offering virtual sports and esports and things like that during the pandemic, but it was really important to me to try to figure out a way to be able to offer this as a competitive opportunity, one in which our athletes can win awards, because we all know that that's what they love, is to win awards. And so we are going to be able to offer this as a competitive opportunity. You know, sports teach lessons. This is all not new information for you guys. And so just kind of the idea behind Unified Sports is that athletes and partners competing together on the same field, on the same track. So let's talk a little bit about eligibility. So an eligibility for a unified partner is what we're going to focus on first. So those are students without an intellectual disability. So that's any student that would not qualify to be a Special Olympics athlete. So a student without an intellectual disability, you want to make sure that they are not on their varsity track and field sectional or state roster. So if they are in high school, we want to make sure that they're not on their varsity roster of somebody that could potentially go to sectional or state, because that could disqualify them from being able to participate through IHSA, sectional and state qualifications. So that's one thing to think about. A unified partner must be online with the Special Olympics Class A registration form. So it takes about 15 minutes or so to do that if you are over the age of 14, which most of our guys are. If you're between the ages of 8 and 14 and you're in middle school, it takes way less than that, because there are no protective behaviors or any general orientation questions that you need to go through, and there's no concussion training. If you're over the age of 14, there are those online trainings that everyone does have to participate in. So if you are over the age of 18, so if your unified partner is over the age of 18, they are subject to the same background check. And so once they complete their Class A, then about 24 to 48 hours later, they're emailed the link to do their background check. So just kind of know those numbers in your head. For under 14 is basically you just provide their information. Over 14, everyone is required to go through the trainings. And then over 18, they're required to do the background checks. When you go online, you click and you tell it what age you are, and that you wanted to be registered as a unified partner or a coach. Make sure they click that unified partner box, because if they don't, they'll have to go back and do a different form in addition to the online Class A. So make sure they click that unified partner box. Anybody who is a unified partner is already automatically approved as a coach. So if you're having them be a unified partner for track, but they want to help coach soccer, that's fine. They're already approved for that. Or if they're already a coach and you want to make them a unified partner, there is a special form that we can do rather than having them go through all of the procedures over again. Know that for this, you had a question, Alfonso?
Yes. Where is that form? The one form that you said, if unified partner has been registered as a coach only?
Just email me. We only send it directly to the individual. So just email me, and we'll get you that form for that athlete or that individual, that unified partner.
Okay, thank you.
We don't have it posted online because we don't want people to just fill out that one form thinking that's all they have to do. We just follow up individually as a one-on-one with that because it's such a small number. Know that your unified partners are not coaches. They are actually competitors. They're not helpers. They're not volunteers. They are actual competitors on the team. So just kind of keep that mindset as you are thinking about who the unified partners will be for your unified track team. Eligibility for a Special Olympics athlete. Those are your students with intellectual disabilities. They must have a medical application on file, which is why we wanted to try to do this now. Because, you know, after us sitting around for a year without as many in-person things, we might have some athletes that had medical apps have expired. During this pandemic, though, we did up the annual rate. So a med app that used to be good for 2 years is now valid for 3 years. So that's something to think about. At any point in time, Jillian, Melissa, or I can get you a roster of your current Special Olympics athletes and unified partners with their expiration dates. So, as well, your region staff. So your region sports staff that you work with, maybe for your traditional competitions, they can also provide you those. You just need to ask one of us. We all have access, and at any point in time, we can get you those lists. You just need to send us a note and let us know that you need it, and we're happy to provide that for you. Just remember that your special education students are the ones obviously receiving an IEP. That's who your Special Olympics athletes are. And then IHSA, we are in the process of making unified track an IHSA sport at the high school level. With COVID and the changes this year, I'm not quite sure that it's going to happen this year. But know that even this year or going forward, that there's amendments to the IHSA rules. So those that are between the ages of 18 and 21, 22, before, you know, while they're in school with you, as long as they're a student at your school, they're able to participate in this program. So it does not have to end when it would be their normal senior year at the age of 18, like typically with IHSA and a unified partner. It can, those transition students that you might hold on to for those additional 4 years are also able to participate if you so wish. That's totally up to you and what you guys decide at the high school level.
Jen, I have a question about that real quick. I know we get students at our school from various different districts around us. And I know when we had a student that left our program, but still wanted to be on our team, he's from another district. I can't have him on my team because he's not registered at my district, correct?
Correct.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wanted to make.
They should
sure.
be a registered student at your school in your district. Now, there's some exceptions, like, so there's there's a student in your district that's homeschooled.
Yep.
But they're registered in your district. So
Right.
that is the difference in that, like having them be able to participate.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go on to the different events that we are going to do. So we're going to keep the same events. So we're going to keep this normal unified track. It's a 100, a 200, a 400, a relay. So it's a 4x100 meter relay, a running long jump, and a shot put. So those are going to be the same 6 events that we've run for unified track in the past. It'll be the same 6 events moving forward. One of the things that we will do is IHSA has, in the process of all of this, is waiting to finalize the alterations, I guess you could say, to their, I don't know what their officially exceptions rules to what they're doing for their track season. I know that as they're getting approved, so are ours for Special Olympics. And so one of the things, nothing is in full approval on what exactly we're going to do, but right now the thought is that while normally we would pack the track and we would have 8 students on the track at a time, for this year, it'll be 4 students, and we will leave a lane in between each competitor as they compete. So it'll just take a little bit longer to run through the races. However, it'll still be safe and socially distanced then by not having them stand shoulder to shoulder on the track together. So for all running events, it will be an every other with the lane. For the relay, athletes will be asked to wear disposable gloves to pass the baton. So if you don't know which hand they're going to grab it from, we'll throw gloves on both hands. If you know which glove which hand they're gonna grab it with, they could have it with one hand, but they will have to have gloves on to be able to grab and pass the baton. So that's something that you're gonna wanna think about in practicing back at school, that they'll have to be wearing gloves during the relays. We will sanitize the batons during each relay, or in between each relay, in between use, but because it's going from student to student, we want there to be that disposable glove. That's an option for them. As far as the running long jump, there really doesn't need to be any accommodations. We'll make sure that the line that they wait in is obviously social distance while they're waiting for their turn. And then we will just make sure on our end that it's the same volunteers that are raking the pit, so that not multiple people are touching the rakes. And then for the shot put, what we're going to do for that is, if each school is not able to provide their own shot put, we will just disinfect in between each shot put. The other thing is that the student who throws the shot put, once it's measured for the space, will also need to retrieve their own shot put. So there will not be a volunteer like we would normally have that would grab their shot put and bring it back to them to throw. They will need to retrieve their own shot put and then take it back and hold it until it's their turn. So whether they're borrowing a Special Olympics shot put or they're using yours, they will have to retrieve their own. Questions on the way that we're going to alter the events at all? Does anybody have that? Okay. Again, just jump in. Some things to kind of think about as you are planning for Unified Track. Think about meaningful involvement. We don't want someone to be there just to kind of be there. We want this to be an experience for them. Make sure that you are selecting the appropriate events for them, that you are training them for track events. And so this is a competitive experience. Make sure that you are training them like it is a competitive experience. As you select your Unified partners and your teammates, just make sure that you're helping them to bond and to form a team. We want to make sure that you are having regular training and competition prior to our competitions, that we're following the rules, and that you guys are able to commit what's needed to be able to participate on this team, or to host a team, I guess you could say, at school. When you're thinking about your team, so there's 6 events, think about that. And everybody can do a maximum of 2 events. I don't think I ordered my slides right, I apologize. Done so many PowerPoints and created so many things lately, my head sometimes doesn't process things in the right order. So there's a maximum of 2 events per person. So they can do a shot put and a relay, or they can do the shot put and the running long jump, or they can do the 100 and the 200, or they can do the 400 and the relay, whatever you want. But everybody can do only a maximum of 2 events. That's both athletes and Unified partners. So to be able to fill all of your events, you need a minimum of 12 people, 6 Special Olympics athletes and 6 Unified partners. Now, you can have a team of up to 24 and everybody specializes in one thing. That's totally fine if you want to be able to accommodate more athletes and partners on the team, or maybe you only have a few athletes, but a lot of partners. So you have your 6 athletes who each do 2 events, but then you have 12 partners who each do 1 event. You guys can make up your team however you want. Just know that you can only have a maximum of 2 events per person. The next question I usually get is, hey, Jen, I don't have enough people to fill all the events, or I don't have enough to do that. This is a total team score. So we want to focus on trying to get somebody to do all of the events, because all of the points are going to go together towards your team score rather than towards an individual. So it's of deficit to you to not register somebody, but it's okay if you don't. If you decide you have nobody, you could just take the 0 for that event. So that it is acceptable if you don't have enough people. In a perfect world, we would have 50-50 athletes partners, right? But that's going to be up to you and kind of how you see it working best for your school. It is a co-ed Unified Track team. So it can be male and female. There is no requirement to have a certain amount of females or a certain amount of males on it. We will separate though by grade level. So we'll do middle school of 5th through 8th grades, and then we'll do high school of 9th through 12th, then transition. So they will be separated as far as like divisions and things like that by age groups. So know that going in. So we'll put middle schools against middle schools and high schools against high schools. If you have a student in a wheelchair, regardless of if that student has an intellectual disability or if that student is a unified partner, there are 2 events that they can participate in. So they can do a 100-meter dash. And so they can do that in their wheelchair. It does have to be a manual chair. It cannot be a mechanical chair, meaning that they have to actually push the wheels themselves. They cannot do it with like, they just push the button. So that is one thing that we, one accommodation we have made. For that, they will have 2 lanes themselves to be able to participate. And then they'll only compete against other individuals in wheelchairs. They won't compete against somebody else that's actually running on the track, only people with wheelchairs. So if it happens that we're at an event and you do have somebody in a wheelchair and they are the only wheelchair, just be known that they could potentially be doing that event alone. We'll cheer and make it an experience for them, but that is a possibility. The other event that they are able to participate in is the shot put. And all the same rules, unfortunately, for this year will apply with them having to be able to get the shot put up off the ground by themselves. If you have somebody who really wants to do the shot put, but that is going to be, that is going to be a prohibitive factor, let us know and we'll try to figure out how we can make that happen. We might be able to assign a volunteer that has like 1 set of gloves for each time. We'll figure it out. I just don't want them having to pick it up themselves be the prohibitive factor of their participation. So let us know if that's something that we need to work out. So those are the adaptions for wheelchairs. The way that the competition is going to work. So it's a 2-event limit, including the relay. So you can't do like in normal traditional Special Olympics, you can do 2 events and a relay. The relay counts in as an event for this event So it's just total 2 events. Teams will enter 4 people for each event. So you'll enter 2 unified partners and 2 Special Olympics athletes for the 100, for the 200, for the 400, for the relay, for the shot put, and for the running long jump. So they'll enter 2 people for each one of the events, and or two of each. 4 total competitors for each event. So 2 Special Olympics athletes and 2 unified partners. Your 1 relay team is made up of 2 Special Olympics athletes and 2 unified partners as well. The individual events, the non-relay events, they're competing as an individual for points to add towards their total team. It's important to realize that as they are doing an event, they are potentially competing against a special, if they're a boy, they could be competing against a girl. If they are a Special Olympics athlete, they could be competing against a unified partner. We take the times that are submitted and we try to make them fair races based on the times that are submitted to us. And then for this year, there's going to be no final heats, right? So it's just going to be you run and there's points. So there's not prelims to a final and only points in the final. It's you run, there's points. We're not going to do multiple races because it's already going to take us a little longer with the space in the lanes and having more races happening. So that's kind of how we're going to do it for this year. One of the things that I would encourage you to do is to register alternates. And so alternates, they have to be registered on your entry forms. They must have a time and a distance for an event, and they have to be the same gender as the person they're replacing. So let's talk about that. Same gender and I guess classification. So if I am registered for the 100-meter run for a school, I can have an alternate. So Jillian could be my alternate. that is participating. So Jillian could be registered as the alternate. Maybe Jillian's specialty is the standing long or the running long jump. So Jillian's on the unified track team to participate in the running long jump, but you don't have an alternate for me in case I'm not there for the event. So Jillian, although her specialty is the running long jump, maybe she's my alternate for the 100 meter. So she can be just submit a time for her and register as an alternate. That way you have someone in case there's not a no-show for your event. Jillian, can you go on to the next slide? Again, we said there will be no more than 8 for an event. However, right now, based on COVID and guidelines, we will have probably 4 for this year because of COVID and just making sure that there is that spacing in between. We will division by ability. So again, a race could include athletes, partners, boys, girls, could be a mix of anything. And we'll try to distribute it as evenly as possible kind of throughout the whole meet. The way that it'll go is, like I said, it's not an individual first place. A first place is 10 team points. Second place is 18 points. Third place is 16 points, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, all the way through 8th. For right now, track, when we're running a meet on the track, we'll only have first through 4th place because we'll only be able to fill 4 of the lanes, but we will be able to do divisions of 8 for the standing long jump or for the running long jump and the shot put. So it'll go all the way to 1 for the shot put and the running long jump, but for track, it'll only go through 4th place. And again, not individual events, but points get added. And so the team as a whole wins first, second, third, that kind of thing. I will ask that there's considerations that you guys make. The shot put is not just a softball throw with a heavier piece of machinery or a piece of equipment, right? Shot put, there is technique, and somebody could really injure themselves if they try to throw a shot put, right? So 4 kilograms is actually really heavy if you've never picked that up before with one hand and then trying to shot it. So make sure that you are training your athletes and you pick the proper athletes and partners to shot put. We don't want to get out there. And if we get out there and we see somebody that tries to like just throw the shot put, they will be disqualified and will get a 0 for their participation because we don't want there to be anybody that's injured. The same thing with the running long jump. It's not the standing long jump. So you're not standing on the end and jumping in. They have to be able to clear that 1 meter mark to be able to even make it to the sand. So make sure you are selecting for safety your correct athletes and partners to participate specifically in those 2 events because they are a little bit of a higher level of skill that's needed to participate. In a normal year, we would do a championship plaque for the team at each event that wins, and then individual awards to the rest of the team. So what that would mean is there would be the plaque for the first place team, and then everyone on the first place team gets a gold, everyone on the second gets a silver, everyone on the third gets a bronze, 4th place all gets ribbons, and so on. That's a normal. This year, for right now, according to guidelines for the Illinois Department of Public Health, it is good that we are able to have up to 50 people at an event. And so there's technically no max of competitors for IHSA, but right now for Special Olympics, we are following a 50 person. So for right now, we're looking at doing 2 team events. As guidelines lift, if we are able to have more teams at the same place, we will look at hosting 3 or 4 teams at the same site to be able to do an event. But for right now, we're looking at just 2 team events so that we're able to be safe, maintain proper distance, and we can make sure that everyone is protected. So if there's only 2 teams participating, we'll only do individual awards. So there will be gold and silver at those events. So gold for the first place team and silver for the second place team. We will keep score at all of the events though, and have the total points for each team on track. Should we be able to host a postseason, meaning that we can do some type of regionals or finals, we will pick the top teams from across the state to be able to participate in that postseason. So whether that postseason is just Special Olympics or whether that postseason includes IHSA, we would pick the top teams from those events that are happening all across the state. Just something to think about. For NFA, some coaching requirements, there is a NFHS online coaching unified training class. When we send out the recording to this video, we will include the link on where you can take that NFHS class if you have not already participated in that. Anybody who is registered as a coach, though, is required to have a Class A coach certification through Special Olympics on file. That's the same with this. We encourage that for unified track that there is somebody that has track and field experience, because you have to teach, proper skills, especially when you're looking at shot put and running long jump. And then we encourage that there is somebody that has Special Olympics experience, because you can't always know what adaptations to be able to make to be able to help someone to be successful. So that's where the Special Olympics side kind of comes in. So we would hope that potentially that there would be both. Right now, I am hitting enter on a link into the chat, which is this exact same form. Otherwise, if you guys took your phone and you scanned that code, it's going to bring you to that form as well. What this is you telling us that you want to play. There is an intent to play form in the policies and procedures. You can fill that out, or the easier way is to just click this link that I put in the chat, or to scan this and have it come up on your phone. It just asks that you put in the information. And the reason that we're asking for this is because this is what we're going to use to try to help schedule some events. So we're asking for your information as a school. By you filling out this form, it is not locking you in to having a team. But if you don't fill out this form, then I don't know that you're even interested in participating in Unified Track this year. So I need to know that you're interested so that I can plan and help you guys to schedule some events. So if you could take a minute and just complete this form, for those of you who might be watching this as a recording, this link is also going to be included in the email that Jillian sends. So we're asking that you fill out this by March 5, if you are interested in participating, and that will help Melissa and Jillian and I as we are putting together where competitions will be and trying to help schools to schedule them. We did ask a question if you'd be willing to host a school at your school. Make your best guess on that. I know that always requires administration approval, and during this time now, even more specifically, our hope would be that we would potentially be able to pull someone from the same district, if at all possible, to be able to go together, or at least someone fairly close to you to be able to come and participate. We will make sure that everything is outside and socially distant. So we would not need access to inside, but there would possibly be but we would need access to some bathrooms, and that's usually sometimes in a locker room or something that's held outside of the building if they don't want us inside. So say yes if you think that that's an option. We understand that you'll still need to get approval. Please don't feel locked in by one, completing the form, and two, saying yes.
Jen, are these, again, going to be during the weekdays and during school hours?
Yes, that is the plan.
Okay.
The plan right now is that it will be during school hours and during the weekday. However, if two schools are not able to do that, for you guys are 100% remote and you're not back in school, but you want to do this and you're not able to do it during the day, we will make sure it can happen after school or on a Saturday. We'll work with your schedules to make it happen. The one thing I didn't mention is if a school is unable to host, and unable to travel, right? So you're by yourself and you still want to do unified track. You can still do unified track. The difference is that we will come, we will help you host it if you would like, or we will provide you with everything you need to be able to host it. Jillian's confusing me with all the clicking that she has going on. But we will come to you and we will be able to help you host it, but there won't be medals involved unless there are at least 2 teams to be able to have a competition. So that you need to have at least 2 teams together to be able to have a competition and for us to provide awards. We want to make it work and we want your athletes to have something to do. So if you are not able to either travel to a school or to host a school, we'll come, we can help you do it by yourself, and we'll have certificates for everybody that participates in it. And they'll just be a participation certificate. So we'll help you. We want it to work. We want it to be successful for you. So just know that going in, we'll do what we can to make it happen. As far as paperwork goes, it's the same paperwork. And for those of you guys who have never done this before, you just click on the website, which is soil.org with an extra L. So SOILL.org. And you go to the sports tab and you'll see right there it has coaches resources. And as you click on that tab, it'll bring up the next screen, Jillian. So once you click on coaches resources, you'll go to, I skipped the slide. Is there a slide that I skipped in there? Maybe I forgot to paste. But there is a thing that has coaches resources, and then you'll have to click on policies and procedures. And then from policies and procedures, then you'll click on, it'll bring you to this facts and forms page. And this facts and forms page is where you'll click section 13, is it 12 or 13? 13, unified school sports. So once you do that, then all of your paperwork is there waiting for you to be able to fill out. And so, Jillian, if you go to the next slide, it kind of lays out for them what they need to do. So paperwork for registration is due by Friday, April 16th at 4 o'clock. And that's regardless of when you're hosting your day. We just made it the same. You can turn it into your regional sports staff, or you can turn it into UCS. We're going to share it with your regional sports staff anyways, and they're going to help us. So either way is fine. You can send it to them first. You'll need the registration form, your list of coaches, your entry form, which is where you kind of specify who's doing what event, and your relay form. So we need that by April 16th. So let's just say that the awful weather that we have outside continues, right? Lord help me, I have to get a bucket of cold water dumped over my head in 10 days, and I'm a little nervous about that, but for the polar plunge. But if this awful weather continues outside and we're not able to get outside by April 16th, please turn in the paperwork with the names. And anybody that you could think that you think you're going to have on your team, turn it in. And then you have then until the end of the month. And actually, I'll even accept times even closer to the dates once we get them scheduled out to be able for you to submit your times in. But we really need to make sure that you have all of your paperwork in and your registration stuff. And we'll deal with that first, and then we'll deal with times second if you haven't been able to get outside and to practice and to do times by April 16th. Not knowing what the weather is going to be, I know it can be hard, and we want to be able to accommodate as many teams as possible. All right, so I think I've gone through most of my information. One of the things I did want to let you know is that our outreach opportunities are open. And so that's the application process where you guys can ask for funding from Special Olympics. That is open through February 15th. Jillian, can you pull a link, or actually Melissa, can you pull a link to the outreach grant and put that in the chat so everyone has it? And so if you are interested, you can fill out an outreach application, and you can do it for equipment kits or uniforms if that's something that you think you'll need to be able to participate in Unified Track. That it's an option for you to be able to kind of get some financial assistance. Sorry. for you to get some financial assistance for you starting a team if this is new for you. So wanted to let you guys know that that's an option as well. We don't want there to be equipment or uniform requirements be a barrier to participation either.
Hey,
Thank
Jen,
you, Melissa.
see the question in the chat.
Put in the chat. If you guys want to just click on that again, the deadline for completing that is February 15th. So that we are asking for those. All right, I think we're to the part for questions. Does anyone have any questions that they would like to ask any of us? You can throw them in the chat. You can unmute yourself. If you have no questions, you're welcome to sign off. Remember that we do have office hours every Thursday from 10 to 11. From 10 to 11 on Thursday morning. So our staff sit on those office hours. You're always able to jump on one of those and know that you will catch a Special Olympics staff, you know, one of our UCS staff during that time. So thank you guys. If you don't have questions, if you do, feel free to go ahead and ask those now.
Yeah, I have one question about the participation in terms of the competition. Could you just clarify, you know, how the competition is going to run? Are you, is there going to be a location? I know you're still looking for one. That's what I understand.
Alfonso, for you specifically, I know that I've been working with with Kim Pelkey about possibly trying to do some 204 schools together. And so whether Matea hosts it or Nikwo or you guys or whoever it is, looking at one school and, you know, possibly bringing the other schools to that one school and being able to host it in one space.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
Yep.
Jen, I know you mentioned about the amount of participants just because of the COVID and separation and that. You said 50 people max for the event. That counts, that's the athletes and coaches, correct?
Yep.
Then is there are families allowed?
So
And-
I don't have final approval for spectators yet. I will tell you that during this time in COVID, we have gained all of the equipment to be able to live stream our events.
Yeah,
So
okay.
that going forward, we will try to live stream all of our events for Unified Champion Schools. We've got a camera, we've got the necessary tools that we need to be able to host them. The only thing that I couldn't guarantee is, let's say we do yours on May 10th and we do Matea Valley on May 10th.
Right.
We have one set of equipment. So we would have to figure out which event we're gonna stream. But we are still waiting on final approval if there is allowed to be spectators and what that will look like. And as the time gets closer, I think we will have further clarification on if spectators will be allowed or not.
Okay.
Jen, I have one question. As I was looking at the return to play policies for Special Olympics, I saw that they're saying that if you are a high risk person, that you should not return to in-person play till phase 5. So is that what I'm supposed to be following for unified track? Because I know that I think I might have some athletes that have always been on unified sports, but they will fall in that high risk.
You know, that is the guidelines provided to us by Special Olympics North America and Special Olympics International. And so those are what we put out there. It's every person's individual decision as to if they'd like to take the risk and participate or not in an event. And so it's I think a conversation that you can have with the family, and maybe it's best that they don't participate this year and they do wait until that we are fully in phase 5 where we can have larger events. I think that's the recommendation that's been provided to us.
Okay, I just wanted some clarification on how I'm supposed to approach that.
Yeah, we will ask. So once your paperwork is in, we will ask those that are participating to complete the COVID waiver. It is a 1-page waiver. It's the same waiver that you guys have been doing if you're hosting, that you will be required to have if you're hosting any kind of in-person practice or anything at school for Special Olympics. So we'll ask for a copy of that waiver if they've not already submitted one to Special Olympics, just so that we have that on file. And so we do require that for anybody that would be participating at an in-person activity of any kind.
Okay, all right. Thanks, Jen.
Yep. Any other questions I can answer? I don't see any that have popped up in the chat.
Jen, did you see the one in the chat from Robin?
I did not.
She's asking, will the first place teams compete at state games if they occur, of course?
If they occur, what we will do is we will look at the total team points of all of the events. So we will not be able to accommodate every first place team, because most likely what's going to happen is we're going to have a lot of first place teams if we only do 2 team events. So we will take the top, if we are able to host a state event of some kind where we bring the top teams together, it'll be the top team points. So we'll take the points from the top total, either 2, 4, 6, 8, whatever we're able to accommodate, if we're able to host them. And that's how we will select who goes on to the state finals.
And just to clarify, Jen, when you say state finals, you do not mean Special Olympics summer games.
Correct.
Or
I do
state
not
games.
mean
You
Special Olympics summer games. It could potentially be something that we do just with unified track, and we host the state finals for just unified track. It could potentially be something in conjunction with IHSA. If they're able to host their state finals and we're able to take a space during that, it could potentially be that. Or we may not be able to host anything. There are so many unknowns as we move forward. And, you know, as you guys know, the phases change almost daily, or have been changing daily, hourly sometimes, as to what is allowed in a given health region throughout the state. And so we are just following the recommendations of the Illinois Department of Public Health, Special Olympics North America, and kind of moving forward in what we feel is the best and safest way possible. So if we're able to host a state tournament, it will be dependent upon the team total points. All right, I will stay on if anyone else has questions, but just thank you guys so much for your time. It's greatly appreciated. Always reach out with any questions that you might have. We really appreciate it. And everyone, stay warm and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jen.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you.